Dear Principal, District Administrator, anyone whose job it is to help manage school systems, this is an open letter from your teachers. I'm Dr. Lisa Taylor, and I'm here to help our administrators do their number one job, and that is to take care of teachers. If you take care of your teachers, the teachers will take care of you. Things will go more smoothly in your school. So, today, we are 1 month to 6 weeks before school opens in the year 2020. We're about to open schools in the midst of a global pandemic. We've never seen the likes of this before. This is not anything that we've ever had to face. We're coming off of a spring of crisis teaching and learning, where we scrambled the last second to try to manage and do what we needed to do. Yep. So, that being said, how can you take care of your teachers as we are about to head into the front lines of an experience that none of us have ever experienced before? How do we go about this? Well, I have some thoughts. As I've talked to my colleagues and friends around the country, teachers, para-educators, etc. My spouse is a school custodian, for example, and we have cafeteria workers, administrative managers, nurses, all those people, good people, who you have the opportunity and the challenge to help take care of. What we want more than anything right now, middle of July, is we want a voice. We need a voice. As you guys are making decisions about what the school year is going to look like, about the use of masks or shields or hand washing stations or temperature gathering, how we social distance or not social distance, what to do for activities and sports, and all the myriad of things that we have never really had to think about how we manage in this situation. Teachers are desperately screaming, crying out for a voice. So what needs to happen to help give your teachers a voice so that they can get the respect and feel respected as the professionals that they are, is that you need to start gathering together your stakeholders. So if you're at the district level, as you're talking to principals and having those important meetings that you're having, have you thought to maybe invite teachers and other staff members to come? They will help you see things that you don't see. Because even though you probably were a classroom teacher, you've been removed from it, at least for a little while. And it's more than likely you did not teach during the virtual learning of the spring. You were dealing with the crisis of COVID-19, while we were in the trenches. Now, I'm a fan of action-adventure movies, okay? Love Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, X-Men, etc. And in those epic movies where there's a huge battle, usually in the last installment of a trilogy, where all the forces have to come together, have you ever noticed that it's not just the original group? They always have to call on outsiders, other people, to make it happen. In Lord of the Rings, we have the ghosts that show up. In the Rise of Skywalker, we have the Allied forces, the people who'd been silent but who are on the rebel forces side. They show up. In Marvel Comics, you have the Black Panthers group and others who join the cause for what's right and what's good. And it was everybody. It was Little Rocket, the crazy raccoon thing, to Captain Marvel, to Spider-Man, who's a teenager, to Iron Man, jaded, playboy. So some were brilliant, like Iron Man. Others probably fairly average intelligence, but were given this extraordinary gift that made them have unique talents and abilities. Each of your teachers is a superhero. Some have extraordinary intelligence, or extraordinary empathy, or extraordinary gifts that are not usual. Many of them went into education because of the kind of people that they are, and they have those things to offer. Some have more average intelligence, but they have other kinds of experiences, gifts, talents that they were born with. Ways of looking at things, experiences they've had in your school, other schools, etc. And you have parents. Parents of these kids with their own worries that maybe teachers and staff members who do not have kids at home, all of them, maybe that's not something we've thought about. Maybe we should invite them too. There's all kinds of different ways to look at things. What about your students, especially in your secondary schools? They have concerns. And the more that we can be prepared for what those concerns are on day one, the quicker we're going to adjust to what this is. But if we just sit here and have our meetings and make decisions as a top-down leadership team, and then we throw it at teachers and kids and parents, it's going to fail. Or it's going to be really, really rough. It's going to be rough anyway, right? But the more allies that you have, the more people whose voice has been heard, the more people that you're able to bring together to work towards solutions, is the better army that you're going to have to face this. Here's an example. So when I was a senior in high school in the year 1985-86, it's been a while, our school district was thinking about bringing sex education into the schools. And they knew this was a hot topic in a conservative state, very family-oriented state, with lots of opinions and feelings, a quite religious community with lots of different kinds of faiths. So what they did was really smart. They got a stakeholder task force together of teachers, administrators, custodians, cooks, secretaries, parents, community members, some that had children in the schools, some that didn't, and students. I was selected to be the representative from one of the two major high schools, and there was a young man who was a representative from the other major high school. As we went to these meetings, it was mostly grown-up stuff or whatever, and you're just kind of, oh my gosh. But there was a couple of times that I remember that we said, what you guys are talking about is great in theory. It's great in what we hope kids to be. But you want to hear what kids are really doing? All kinds of kids. There was this parent on the committee who was very, very adamant that teaching abstinence should be the way to go. And I'm like, well, you're not aware of what's happening with your own children. Are you talking to them about this? Anyway, so we're in this kind of era. So I recommend you district administrators right now, if you're at the district level and you're meeting with your principals, you need to invite teachers and other members. If you're a building leader, building principal or leader, you need to get your team together now. with a few weeks left before school started to talk about this stuff. Now I know you're like, oh, it's their summer vacation and they're not going to want to and I can't pay them. I promise you, I promise, I'll go. I don't expect to be paid because I know that I need my voice to be heard, and not mine, but other staff members like me. And that if we do this together, it will help us so much in the school year to come. Now, yeah, sure, there will be a couple say, I'm not coming if I'm not getting paid. But I promise you, there will be those that I'll be glad to go from all areas of your school. Truly. So, let's think about that. What can you do as an administrator to make sure your teachers, which are all school staff members, no matter if they're certified or classified, we're all teachers. How do you help them be happy so that they stay in their job? How do you do that? You give them a voice. You listen. You change your thinking if you need to. If you realize, oh, I didn't think about it that way. That's very valid and very, very important. And maybe my whole staff doesn't understand this one piece because they don't have the administrator lens. But that'd be like only Thor battling Thanos. Pretty tough guy, Thor is, right? But he couldn't do it by himself at all. Maybe he understood things because of his perspective of being a spaceman in other dimensions and other galaxies. But he was powerless without the Earthlings and in the situation because the Earthlings were on the front lines. Didn't matter what he knew if he could not convince those on the front lines. So he had to adjust and do what was best for them at the moment, knowing they would have to get to his thinking, but he couldn't force it. So I beg you as administrators around the United States of America, please, 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 let your teachers, students, all staff have a voice now in your meetings, in your conversations. Bring them together. Open your hearts. Open your minds. Listen. Figure it out together. You'll have a lot less backlash, a lot less problems in the fall if you simply give us a voice. Sincerely, your teachers.